The Brazilian GP delivers year after year, but so does Max when this track comes on the F1 calendar. I mean, my jaw was dropped from start to finish. Pit lane to P3. And add to it that he had an extra stop because of a puncture. The safety cars did not help. He didn't have any luck. It was pure overtaking and genuinely a masterclass here in São Paulo. Not only that, Piastri has cracked yet again. It was not the best race. Do I think the penalty was unfair or justified? I will talk about that. I want to talk about the Brazilian GP in general. We had a couple of masterclass drives. It wasn't just Max Verstappen. But that will be the main topic of the video today, talking about Max. Thank you all for coming. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. We're getting close to that 100K, about 5K off, which is just unbelievable. Thank you all so much. Let's get started with the video, talking about the GP itself. Qualifying was interesting in itself, as it usually is in São Paulo. Teams that aren't typically competitive make their way up, as we saw with Pierre Gasly, somehow making it into Q3 with that tractor and having a pretty decent race. Now, Ollie Behrman has been on fire. Oh my goodness, it's been great to watch and finally showing that true potential. Throughout the season, he's had a lot of bad luck. It hasn't all been going to plan, but he's just as fast as Kimi. Bortoleto had a bad race, but I do think Gabriel himself is extremely quick. All of these rookies are great. We have so much to look forward to with this next generation. I'm very happy to say that. But the biggest talking point obviously was Q1, Max Verstappen getting out and Yuki Tsunoda, which I guess that's not too big of a shock. But the Red Bull car was classified as being the 10th car on the grid, meaning the slowest. Slower than Alpine, slower than the AMR 25, that green trash bin. They had absolutely no pace. Fell out in Q1 just based off of timing. And they decided to completely flip over the car, do a different setup for the race, and it worked, man. Max looked pretty comfortable the whole GP. They actually found a setup that worked. I wish they were able to find that in qualifying. That would have been much better for us seeing a fight between Max and Norris, because off of pace, it was not far off of the Red Bull being as quick as the McLaren. With that said, Lando is driving with a mentality like Max when he had the leading car. He's checking out in the race, keeping a gap, and I think he can go even faster. It's been a Lando masterclass in the last 3 or 4 GPs. You gotta give him credit here. And right off the rip, Max makes some good overtakes and gets a little bit lucky with a couple of collisions and drivers just falling back. Regardless, good start, got up to about P13 till we saw that first collision right after the safety car reset with Oscar going up the inside. Now, I think any racing driver would have taken this opportunity to go down the inside. He did have the jump on Kimi, he had a bad reset, and Leclerc took the right approach going on the outside. Leclerc's luck in 2025, I mean, just like Fernando Alonso, they've both been in the dumps when it comes to luck, and he was the one that unfortunately pulled a bad stick, got his tire off, and his GP was over. But he was the only driver there that wasn't even involved in the incident. It was between Kimi and Oscar. I think Oscar goes on the inside as much as possible. Kimi squeezes him. It's a racing incident. Definitely not a 10-second penalty for Oscar. The inside was open. Kimi squeezed it. They collided. It happens in Formula 1, but that 10-second completely screwed up his race. Maybe you can award him with a 5-second penalty just so that Kimi can get back behind them, or he gives up the position. I'm not sure. 10 seconds was a little bit too harsh in my opinion. But leave your thoughts down below. It was quite the controversial, I would say, incident. It can go both ways. But from that restart, all the positions that Max ended up making up, he had to go back into the pit lane. Some debris somewhere hit his tire, gave him a puncture. He's back to the very end. Pits onto mediums, and then we start seeing a masterclass of overtakes on each car, getting them lap by lap, in a car that, yet again, let me say it, was 10th on Saturday. Now, obviously, this is not the slowest car. It was just how they set it up. They went the wrong direction, and that's why it failed so badly on Saturday, and Sunday ended up resulting into a good race. But look at the contrast in the garage. Yuki was the only driver that did not finish in that huge train of drivers that finished between maybe like 2 seconds from P9 all the way down to P16. Yuki was 10 seconds off of that train, which is just unbelievable. Max, on the other hand, was fighting for P2 with Kimi Antonelli all the way towards the end. Now, there was a point in this race where I thought, just like Julian Palmer, that Max would stay out on those tires to try and fight Lando for P1. Looking at it now, seeing the strategy they went with, I think it was the right call. The mediums were falling off. We saw with Liam Lawson and Nico Hülkenberg towards the very end of the GP, their tires were dead. They were losing so much pace. That's why we saw such a big gaggle of cars towards the very end there, because the tires fell off completely. There's just a point in the GP where you might have a little bit pace left, but as soon as the rears go and you can't go through sector 2 quickly enough because of the tires, that would be the end. And if Max stayed out, that happened, he would drop like a stone. Maybe he'd finish P5 or 6, which is still impressive. But no, the man finished on the podium. Looking at it from Antonelli's perspective as well, what a GP. He dominated Russell, in my opinion. It was not even close amongst the two drivers. It was his weekend. I would say it's the first time this year Kimi has just been the better driver in every single session, and he's showing why Mercedes has stuck with him and picked him up early. This was needed. Kimi is incredible, and it's great to finally see it on track through a whole weekend. His other teammate in the past, Ali Behrman, has now showed it 2 weekends in a row, getting a 6th with Haas and then a P4 in Mexico. I mean, just incredible. Ali has really taken that upgrade that was introduced in Coda and made this car his. He is much better than Ocon, and really through the season, he's had the upper pace. In qualifying, I think in the race, Ocon sometimes is better than him, but right now he's showing that he is the much better driver. They have completely different driving styles. I'm planning on making a video this week. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see it. Max Verstappen almost went on to tie a historic run from the pit lane to P2, which was Alan Prost. If there was another lap, he probably would have gotten it done. He was just a little bit off. His reds were running off, and Kimi on the yellows had just enough pace to really keep him behind. I also think he didn't fall and crack under the pressure. It's menacing seeing Max Verstappen in your mirrors. There can be nothing scarier on the grid. Now, the championship gap does grow. Lando Norris, as I stated, did incredible. I didn't really bring it up too much, but in these last GPs, he's really been the deciding factor for this championship. Yes, does he have the fastest car? True. But it does take a very quick driver to win by about 10 seconds. Really control the whole race, have no issues whatsoever, and your teammates not have the pace to pass cars that are slower. As we could also see in the interview, he is pulling up on that Max Verstappen mentality. He's changed his mindset completely, and he's been very vulnerable to us in this season. He's been open, he's talked about everything, he's had his struggles, but when it's counted, when he needs to really lock in and win the championship, he's done it. And right now, he's looking like a championship caliber driver. He fully deserves it. With that said, Max making up this many positions, I wish we would have seen him in a car as competitive as Lando's. That would be fantastic to see them both this in form, driving at this pace. What an incredible weekend here in Brazil. Genuinely, if not the best weekend we've had in the year. We've had some good GPs. This one, plenty of overtakes. This track has to stay on permanently. Just give it a contract towards 21,000. Who cares? This is such a good track. Love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What did you guys think of Max Verstappen's insane comeback? I mean, unreal. My jaw was dropped pretty much the whole GP. Thank you all for support. Please leave a like, subscribe. Better me in the world, and peace.